The dry season grips the savanna. The air shimmers with heat, turning this landscape into a brutal crucible of endurance. Water is scarce, and every movement carries a heavy metabolic cost. Beneath the sparse shade of an acacia, a cheetah seeks refuge. She is an evolutionary marvel, engineered entirely for speed. But this extreme specialization comes at a price. She has virtually no stamina, and the relentless midday heat is her greatest adversary. A few hundred yards away, a herd of impala. They are the savanna's hypervigilant grazers. Their ears act as biological parabolic reflectors, constantly scanning the dry wind for the slightest acoustic anomaly. But a cheetah relies on invisibility. Her spotted coat breaks up her silhouette against the sun-bleached grass. She calculates the distance meticulously, knowing she must close the gap to within 50 meters before triggering the chase. Her binocular vision locks onto a vulnerability. A young calf, slightly out of position. The stalking phase is over. The acceleration is violent, 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. Her flexible spine acts like a coiled spring, maximizing her stride to an astonishing 7 meters per leap. The impala herd explodes into a tactic called stotting, leaping high into the air. It is a visual defense mechanism designed to disorient the predator, flooding her visual cortex with chaotic, crossing targets. But the cheetah's gaze is gyroscopically stabilized by a highly specialized inner ear. She tracks her isolated target through the dust. The takedown is swift. A precise swipe to the hind legs disrupts the calf's balance, and the hunt reaches its brutal, inevitable conclusion. From a distance, the mother impala watches. Evolution has bound her to a harsh reality, lacking the mass and weaponry to challenge an apex feline. But in this ecosystem, invisible borders frequently overlap. A troop of olive baboons has been observing the chaos. Baboons and impalas often share a mutualistic relationship. The impalas provide ground-level scent detection, while the baboons act as sentinels in the canopy, an attack on the impalas. An alpha male baboon advances, territorial dominance. Armed with formidable canines longer than those of a leopard, he is a devastating force in close combat. He charges, turning the hunter into the hunted. For the cheetah, the evolutionary calculus is simple. A single injury, a broken bone, or a deep bite means starvation. She cannot afford to fight. The savanna's greatest sprinter yields. Robbed of her hard-earned prize, the cheetah retreats, forced into the shadows to conserve what little energy remains. The baboon stands his ground, an unintentional savior. In this rare window of interspecific tolerance, the battered calf scrambles to its feet. It sprints back to the safety of its mother. A reunion forged not by a miracle, but by the complex, overlapping rivalries of the wild. The impala and the baboons resettle into their shared rhythm. The savanna resets. A harsh, interconnected theater where every breath is a borrowed moment, and the line between life and death is redrawn every single day. The deep dry season does not merely silence the savanna, it fundamentally rewrites its chemistry. As the subterranean water table plummets, the vertisol clay aggressively contracts, fracturing the landscape into a brutal geometric wasteland. But this shattered crust is deceiving. Deep within these arid fissures, amphibians and invertebrates have entered estivation, a profound state of biological suspension. They halt their cellular metabolism almost entirely, entombed in the baked earth to survive the lethal dehydration. Above ground, the megafauna have no such subterranean refuge. Exposed to relentless, unfiltered solar radiation, they are forced to navigate a dangerous daily tightrope of thermoregulation, rationing every microscopic drop of internal moisture. In this scorched arena, life is stripped down to its most primitive mathematical equation: outlast the sun, or perish in the dust. Driven by a strict physiological mandate, a herd of Cape buffalo marches across the parched earth. To survive the perilous journey between shrinking waterholes, they rely on absolute unity. But this immense collective mass comes with a fatal flaw. Thousands of heavy hooves fracture the baked crust, raising a towering column of particulate dust into the sky. An undeniable visual and olfactory beacon broadcasting their exact coordinates. Lying in wait along these ancient migratory veins is the Savannah's apex syndicate, a pride of African lions. A calf momentarily disoriented by the dust. An older male lagging behind due to sheer thermal exhaustion. A calf momentarily disoriented by the dust. An older male lagging behind due to sheer thermal exhaustion. The critical distance is breached. The ambush is triggered. The lioness is isolated. It is a violent application of combined kinetic mass. Retractable claws grapple the incredibly thick hide, attempting to anchor the desperate thrashing animal. To bring down a Cape buffalo, the lions must overcome immense leverage and secure a suffocating bite to the trachea. But the buffalo's dense cervical musculature and sheer willpower delay the lethal grip just long enough, and suddenly, the prey's behavioral paradigm shifts entirely. Cape buffalo possess a unique, hyper-aggressive herd mentality. Their kin, the fleeing vanguard, abruptly halts. They do not scatter. They wheel around. The flight transforms into a localized, offensive phalanx. A solid wall of black muscle and lethal, fused keratin horns charges directly back into the chaotic fray. Faced with thousands of pounds of unified kinetic fury, the predator's tactical advantage instantly disintegrates. A single glancing blow from a heavy hoof or sweeping horn can shatter a lion's femur, an absolute death sentence in the wild. The risk-to-reward ratio collapses. The pride releases their grip and scatters back into the arid brush. The herd stands its ground, having successfully weaponized their absolute solidarity to decisively repel the savannah's apex assassins. The brutal physics of the encounter have finally taken their toll. The feline's intense pain receptors override its primal aggression. The king is broken. Deep lacerations and severe structural trauma force a rapid, instinctual recalculation of his survival odds. In the wild, pride is a human construct. Physical integrity is the only true currency. He yields. There is no defiance in his retreat, only cold, evolutionary pragmatism. To continue this confrontation is to guarantee absolute biological failure. Bleeding and tactically compromised, the injured predator limps heavily into the dense, unforgiving cover of the acacia scrub. His breathing is labored, his once impenetrable aura entirely shattered. In the ruthless theater of the African savanna, this is the ultimate, unspoken truth. A single, critical injury instantly transforms the apex hunter into the vulnerable. And his most agonizing solitary battle against infection and starvation has only just begun. The immediate threat is neutralized, seamlessly reforming their impenetrable, moving fortress of dense muscle and fused keratin. The vanguard sets the pace. They are guided by an ancient, collective cognitive map, a deep genetic memory pointing them toward the distant, life-saving promise of hidden aquifers. The Nile crocodile, an armored leviathan that has perfectly mastered the art of aquatic ambush for over 200 million years. Its biology is a masterpiece of extreme energy conservation. As an ectotherm, it draws its vital heat from the sun. This ultra-efficient metabolism allows a massive adult to survive for months on a single substantial meal. Yet, when the dry season forces prey to the water's edge, this dormant creature transforms into a biomechanical torpedo. Its jawline is studded with thousands of dermal pressure receptors. These microscopic sensors can detect the faintest hydrostatic vibrations of a hoof stepping into the shallows. It doesn't even need to open its eyes to hunt. It's simply red. Africa, a continent not just defined by its immense geographic scale, but by its unparalleled, raw ecological power. Covering a fifth of the Earth's total landmass, it is the ultimate crucible of biological evolution, from the scorched hypersaline pans of the Namib Desert to the dense, carbon-rich lungs of the Congo Basin. This landmass was violently forged by deep tectonic forces over millions of years. Here, terrestrial megafauna still reigns supreme. It remains the last great stronghold for Earth's giants, where vast herds of ungulates navigate ancient migratory corridors, their movements strictly dictated by atmospheric pressure systems and the shifting monsoons. But this unparalleled biodiversity is governed by a singular, unforgiving paradigm, the absolute necessity of energy transfer. Every blade of grass, every transient drop of rain, represents highly contested fuel in a brutal, interconnected biological economy. The African elephants. They are not merely inhabitants of this landscape. They are its fundamental biological architects. Elephants are surprisingly capable swimmers. They utilize their massive lung capacity for internal buoyancy and their trunks as built-in biological snorkels. However, fighting the hydraulic drag of the current demands a massive, rapid expenditure of kinetic energy. The acoustic shock waves of their frantic paddling instantly alert the river's apex ambush predators, the Nile crocodiles. While a fully grown adult elephant is practically invulnerable, a struggling, isolated calf represents a highly lucrative metabolic prize. The crocodile does not simply rush in. It employs a masterpiece of hydrodynamic stealth, sinking seamlessly beneath the surface and utilizing the river's own current to mask its approach toward the chaotic epicenter of the herd. After days of relentless dehydration, the herd finally reaches the edge of the great river. But instead of rushing blindly to the water, their arrival is met with a profound, instinctive hesitation. They can smell the life-saving moisture, but they also detect the subtle, ancient musk of predators lurking just beneath the murky surface. The matriarch faces a brutal ecological dilemma, but the thermodynamics of the savanna leave no room for retreat. Driven by the sheer necessity of survival, she makes the agonizing calculation, leading her family forward, stepping deliberately into the unknown currents. The strike is opportunistic and violent. A massive crocodile breaches, its jaws snapping shut in an attempt to lock onto the soft tissue of a calf's submerged leg or trunk. Seeking to use its own weight to drag the panicked juvenile and miscalculated the herd's social dynamics. Elephants are fiercely protective, driven by deep, powerful neurochemical bonds. The matriarch and the surrounding females instantly pivot, transforming their massive bodies into an aggressive aquatic battering ram. Faced with thousands of pounds of thrashing muscle, crushing weight, and lethal tusks, the crocodile's risk-to-reward ratio instantly collapses. The reptile relinquishes its grip and melts back into the dark currents, yielding to the unbreakable, unified force of the herd as they finally secure the safety of the opposite bank. With their core temperatures finally stabilized, and the exhausted calves securely flanked, the matriarch recalibrates her internal cognitive map. The aquatic gauntlet has been conquered, but the relentless, sun-baked expanse of the savanna still lies ahead. They press on into the shimmering heat haze, an unstoppable, ancient biological force moving to the deep, silent rhythms of the earth, proving once again that in Africa, survival is a journey that never truly ends.